You said it yourself, this will not work if we are miles apart. Wake up alone, your fans are closed. Reach for something that you're not. Oh, you need to calm down, honey. You need to calm down, honey.
Hey everyone, my name is Manuel Guimarães. I've been presenting and organizing Talk and Play since we've created it, essentially, I think in 2 years ago. The first one is actually about Spider-Man PS4, so I guess we have a timeline there. Essentially, I've been doing this for the past 2 years with the help of Pedro Rodrigues, Ricardo Rodrigues, and Diogo Rato. But now it's time for us to pass the torch. So it's time for us to move along and essentially say goodbye to our part of organizing Talk and Play. But thankfully, we've already assembled quite a good team, and so essentially, this talk and play will be about presenting our new members of the team. And of course, I'll just pass the torch and I'll be behind the scenes, of course, making sure everything goes well and sticks to the talk and play spirit. But here it is part of the team. Hey guys, I think you guys can
Hi
talk now.
everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
And of course, Talk and Play will be coordinatedly by Jorge Nunes, which is over there. And we also
Hi,
have
hello.
new members such as Daniel Machado, Diogo Silva, Carolina Braz, and Mateus Pinho. There's also André Santos, which he won't be able to present today, but he will present in the next weeks, okay? And hey guys, how are you? I hope you are feeling
Hi.
good. Um, so without further ado, we're going to cut into a small break just to prepare the next presentation, which will be by Daniel Machado about a League of Legends. Wait. Okay, go ahead, Daniela. Please start your presentation with the Timo hat, of course.
Yeah, of course. If I'm going to talk about League of Legends, I will need my Timo hat. Hey everyone, this is the first presentation today. I'm going to be talking about how League of Legends has been bringing its characters to life, or has attempted to. And I'm going to start telling the story of Seraphine. So, who's Seraphine? Well, she started as a Twitter account earlier this summer, and this was her first post. Hello world, of course. And then she started posting. She was not associated with League of Legends at first. Riot said nothing about it, but the users quickly found out it had to do with League of Legends and Riot because of the style. Initially, they thought it was an older version of Zoe, which is another champion in League of Legends, but that did not really make sense. And they started interacting with her. You can see they interacted with her almost as if she were an actual person. People were her fans. They were telling her about how cute she was and things like that. She also had an Instagram account with similar content to the Twitter account and a SoundCloud account where she was sharing music because I mean she shares about her story as a girl who really loves music and wants to share her voice with the world. And so she did share some samples on SoundCloud. No one knew who the singer was, who the voice was behind Seraphine, and that was only presented in Worlds this year, Worlds Championship. I don't know. It's like the biggest tournament in League of Legends. So later in the summer, League of Legends finally released her splash art along with her lore and her abilities. She was supposed to be this girl born in Piltover, and she was tired of being behind the stage, and she was anxious about showing her voice to everyone. Then she discovered that she could speak to the souls inside crystals. There are they are Hextech crystals, which is what Piltover is powered with, basically. I'm going to talk more about these crystals later, and I'm going to take this off because it's getting a bit warm. Uh, so she's this very shiny with wings character, and Piltover. Well, Piltover is a bit of a steampunkish city in League of Legends, and she looks a bit more like a Star Guardian character, which made the fans like dissociate a bit. Is this supposed to be a Piltover character? She doesn't look like one. Um, she looks a bit like outside of the place. I think I translated this wrong. If we look closer to her model, she has this hoverboard, and it's what I was talking about. This hoverboard is powered by X-Tech crystals. But what are X-Tech crystals really? They are harvested from the corpses of brackens. And what are brackens? Well, brackens are huge uh, scorpions. Skarner is a bracken, and they were genocided at some point, so they're dead. And Skarner is protecting them. He's the guardian of that, but X-Tech crystals are being harvested to power Piltover, and in this case to power Seraphine's hoverboard. And well, the fans have some trouble with this, and this is the first encounter, the first quote that the quote that Seraphine says on her first encounter with Skarner on the game, which is "I miss your kind too, Skarner. Would you like to hear their song?" Which the fans interpreted as something like this. I'm gonna leave you with this for a second. So, I mean, they create this character who, at some point on the tweets, says she's vegan and against animal cruelty, and then they make this. Doesn't make much sense. And this, well, generated some bad responses from the fans. There were actually a lot more posts, but I decided not to put them here because they were a bit like offensive towards Seraphine. The fans were really they had lots of mixed feelings. Some people loved her, some people hated her, which is normal, but the fact that she was presented in social media and that lots of these opinions are expressed through social media and they could actually quote her tweets and quote her pictures made this a lot bigger than it usually is with League of Legends. And well, this is a response made by Mark Merrill, who was kind of in charge with this. And well, they said that this part of the lore would be removed from her lore because well they realized they messed up and that it should not have been there in the first place. Which I mean, if you look at her character, it's the most interesting part about her is this part, the part that she can communicate with the souls inside the crystals and that gives her power and that gives her voice. But oh well, decisions. So at some point this post was shared by her on her Twitter account, also on her Instagram. I think she posts the same thing. She posts the same things in both accounts. And well, I don't know if you recognize this, but these are lyrics for a KDA song. And the fans were, "Oh my god, she's a singer, she's going to join KDA." And she did. Oops. Ah? Okay, she did. And what is KDA? Well, KDA was a band that was formed in 2018 from other League of Legends characters. In this case, Akali, Kaisa, Ari, and Evelyn. And well, they had other lores. For example, Ari had her whole fox and luring people and killing them lore. Akali, well, she's a ninja. Uh, Evelyn also seduces people to then kill them. And then there's Kaisa, who spent a lot of years on the Void, which is another area of League of Legends. She had to kill to stay alive. Well, it doesn't really have to do with the stereotype of K-pop, but they made this work. The thing is, Seraphine, from the beginning, she fit this. She fit KDA, she fit K-pop. And well, what did League of Legends do with this? Well, they had a band and they released songs. And they released songs as if the band were actually real, but they had already done that with Pentakill, I think. And then they also did it with True Damage, which was also created. I don't know if it was last year or in 2018.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
it was last year.
yeah, Akali was also a part of that. And well, this band specifically, they experienced drama online as if they were an actual band. When Akali joined True Damage, people reacted to that and were like, "Oh my God, did she leave KDA?" It's surreal thinking about how much this impacts the fans and how the fans actually are getting into this. And well, they actually made interviews with KDA this year. And if you look at them, it's like an interview with an actual band. And well, the animation looks great, in my opinion. The way they put them here and interacting with each other and interacting with the host, I don't know. To me, it seems almost real. It's dangerously real. And well, this was this year, but oh, oops, I did not want to do that. Last year, last year. Oh God. Oh my God. PowerPoint closed. I'm so
It's
sorry.
okay. It's okay.
Okay, because these videos are rather large, so now
Mhm.
I'll go through this. But we're not breaking the 30-second rule. And this is not. Oh my God. Okay. I hate videos on PowerPoint.
Yeah, just go to the next slide and yeah.
Okay, so. Okay, nice. This is the video. This is an interview that was made last year with Akali on LPL. LPL is like. Uh, there's LCS, there's different competitions on different areas
It's
of the
the
world.
Chinese league,
Exactly.
right?
Uh, and well, here's this is very loud.
We can't hear it. It's fine.
Okay, nice. So this is Akali here, dressed in KDA outfit, and well, if you look at this animation, it's just great. It looks like she's actually here. She has her own shadow right here with the same intensity as the not host, maybe host shadow. It's very cool. It's very nice how they made this, how she interacts with the fans, how she's here. And this was last year, so there's actually people around the stadium that are watching her here and interacting with her. Not interacting, but they're watching her. And this year, well, League had Worlds, and it was when Seraphine's voice was presented. It's this woman here. You cannot hear it, right? You can or can't.
We can't hear it.
Okay, well, that's sad. But do watch this if you haven't, because it's really cool. This is where the voice of Seraphine is finally presented. It's this woman over here. All the other members already had their voices announced 2 years ago, but this was a big reveal. And well, the way they did this, because there was no, I think there was no audience, right? I'm pretty sure there's no
There's a
people
few. I
watching.
think there
So,
were a few people there, like thousands. But
but
for them, it's
uh,
small.
Yeah. It was more important the way they presented to the public. And so
Mm.
they have this part here where Akali arrives with her motorcycle to the, well, yeah, to the stage. And suddenly she unmounts and she starts singing and dancing with the dancers behind her as if she was actually there. And I think this was a great show made by Riot. I haven't seen any other game company do something like this. I honestly haven't seen any other company, but I can be wrong. And well, this shows them all dancing and being there. So I think Riot did a great job putting them physically there and doing this amazing show around them. I'm not a big fan of KDA or K-pop in general, but I think this was great. And well, watch this. Really, it's amazing. And I think this concludes my presentation.
Okay, cool.
I hope I okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so thanks for the presentation, Daniela. That was pretty cool. I
Thank
am
you.
a fan of KDA, assumed fan, but just because of Ari. But just like you shown, like people have grown attached to these personalities that don't really exist, just like kind of
Yeah.
I am with Ari. But I'm not like a weirdo. I just like
Okay, 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 okay.
You see, part of me wants to like it, but the other part of me cringes every time I think about liking this because it's
I
so
like
weird,
gorillas.
so abnormal. I think well, you're the only person I know that has ever said I actually like this. I actually like Ari.
no, but okay, but I think the issue here, and I think it's one of the main issues, is that they, for instance, Seraphine was her Twitter account was really kind of personal. So she was like struggling with anxiety. She was struggling with like like people's issues, right? So it's
Yeah,
weird that to think about there's a huge corporation trying to think
Yeah.
about the better way to market this how she's feeling or the messaging behind her in a way for her to sell out like as much as possible. Like that's the weird part here, and that people can relate
yeah.
to, like, right? I don't know, George, if they have anything like this in Rocket League. Do the cars
I
talk?
wish. I wish. Imagine like you were in our LCS and like a real life Octane just would appear in the stage. That will be awesome.
Singing.
Uh, that's it's funny because that's one question I would like to ask you is if you think this could be done for other games too besides League of Legends, and if you think what they have done with these characters will also grow to other games. For example, I don't know, like Call of Duty or Rocket League, as Manel said. Do you think it will be done something like that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure Call of Duty and Rocket League would be a good example of a game where they could do
Yeah,
this. Maybe Valorant. I don't know. I struggle to find a game where they could
Team
find
Fortress.
a character. Maybe Team Fortress. I don't know much about it,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it has to be a game where the characters they have to be unique and there has to be space for this kind of thing to happen. I think there will be a tendency for this to happen more and more because people actually engage with them. People
yeah,
actually engage with these characters,
hmm Well,
and as long as they do, well, corporation will exploit it.
yeah, that's my worry. It's not about the characters being like really well written or really believable. It's the part that their only objective is to make money. So of course they're exploiting you. Like that's the weird
Oh,
part.
yeah.
If you start
Seraphine
thinking
for
about it.
me sounds like a generic influencer kind of girl. She doesn't have anything that makes her. I mean, among the League of Legends character, yes, she's
hmm
different, but she's not the kind of content that you don't see every day.
hmm
The difference is just that it's a character. It's not a real person, but they made her one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do agree that she doesn't. It feels like they just made this character just to sell out, and her only purpose was to be in KDA, and she's just really generic. Yeah. So we have the same concerns, and I think the League of Legends community also has, like the few of them that go to Reddit or something like this, and that discuss. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I think this concludes this first presentation. Thank you, Daniela. Let's go again to a short
Thank
break
you.
so we can set up the next presentation by Carolina. Hey everyone, up next is Carolina, and she's going to present about social anxiety and video games. Go ahead.
Olá, eu vou fazer a minha apresentação em português, porque já vão perceber mais à frente o porquê de eu não estar à vontade em falar em inglês para tanta gente. Mas basicamente eu vou falar sobre o impacto que os jogos online têm de forma positiva nas pessoas que têm ansiedade social. Vou falar primeiro sobre o que é, e depois falar um bocadinho sobre a minha experiência e no fim vou falar sobre um pequeno jogo que eu descobri enquanto eu estava a fazer esta apresentação. Eu decidi este tema porque quando a equipa do Talk Play estava a dizer que os novos membros tinham que fazer apresentações, eu comecei logo a pensar na minha cabeça, ok, eu não quero fazer nada disto, comecei a fazer uma birra interna e a minha vontade era só dizer, ok, não posso, tenho uma coisa nesse dia, qualquer coisa assim. Mas no fundo eu queria quebrar esta barreira e queria também experimentar fazer parte da equipa das apresentações e acho que era um bom momento para começar. E então eu comecei a pensar, ok, porque é que eu não quero apresentar? Porque eu fico nervosa e como é que eu posso dar a volta a isto? Então eu comecei a pensar na minha experiência e levou-me a decidir fazer sobre este tema, também porque quando entrei para o laboratório de jogos foi numa altura em que eu estava a reverter este processo todo e eu estava a conseguir fazer as coisas novamente. Então eu vou passar a falar sobre o que é a ansiedade social, porque muita gente pensa que é só um pequeno stress ou uma vergonha assim pequena de interagir com pessoas, mas vai muito para além disso. Imaginem que não conseguem sequer sair do próprio quarto, ou não conseguem ir a um supermercado sozinhos, ou, por exemplo, querem muito ir a uma aula, mas não conseguem sequer entrar no auditório. Ou, por exemplo, estão perdidos num projeto e não conseguem pedir ajuda a ninguém, porque não conseguem desbloquear o pensamento de a gente me vai julgar, ou eu vou ser o centro das atenções, ou alguém vai-me humilhar, etc. É uma coisa muito complicada e eu acho que hoje em dia isso não é levado assim muito a sério, é assim uma coisa muito soft e eu acho que na nossa comunidade do técnico, pelos 3 anos que já estou lá, acho que isto é muito presente. Eu acho que as pessoas não sabem como interagir, E depois, como ninguém fala assim muito disto, acho que as coisas ainda se tornam piores. Portanto, eu decidi juntar as duas coisas pronto, basicamente falar que eu consegui reverter este processo jogando com amigos meus, conhecendo pessoas novas, e não há uma fórmula geral para resolver o problema. A única solução que existe é não nos isolarmos, porque se uma pessoa não consegue sair do próprio quarto, se ficar sempre nesse ambiente, então nunca mais vai conseguir sair. E então foi aqui que em setembro começou o meu processo de reversão, digamos assim, quando a minha melhor amiga disse: olha, estás agora sozinha, porque é que não vens jogar connosco, jogar com imensas pessoas e se calhar não ficas assim tão sozinha. E eu então posso dizer que a primeira vez que entrei no Discord, numa sala de Discord, estavam 9 pessoas à espera de me ouvir dizer um olá. E eu andei pela casa toda a pensar numa forma como é que eu ia dizer olá. E então dei desculpas de o meu microfone está com problemas, eu ainda não me consegui conectar, etc. Mas quando eu lá consegui, eu consegui perceber que à medida que ia jogando cada vez mais com eles, eu conseguia libertar-me dessa barreira. Eu realmente divertia-me a jogar e, por outro lado, estava consciente que aquilo me estava a ajudar. E os principais jogos, como eu tenho aqui, foi o League of Legends. O Valorant foi mais agora para o fim, mas aquele que foi o mais difícil foi o Among Us, porque era muita gente e esse foi o que me ajudou mais. Eu acho que o laboratório de jogos, ao fazer estas apresentações e ao fazer o que faz nos eventos presenciais, que agora não se está a realizar, reúne mesmo a comunidade. E também foi uma razão que eu decidi entrar. Eu pensei, ok, vai ter lá muitas pessoas que gostam das mesmas coisas que eu, que jogam, vai ser giro, e acho que nesse aspecto é uma experiência muito incrível para quem tem ansiedade social e não consegue fazer praticamente nada, não consegue socializar. E fazendo uma comparação com este ano, todos sabemos que foi um ano caótico, todos fomos mandados embora em março para casa. E não sei se repararam, mas eu reparei que as pessoas mais jovens da nossa idade, a forma que nós arranjámos foi jogar com amigos. Até foram criadas aplicações de jogos para reunir pessoas, e eu acho que aí houve uma necessidade de juntar o divertimento com a falta de interação social, ou seja, juntar essas duas coisas e fazer uma junção de ok, eu estou-me a divertir, mas também estou a interagir com as pessoas que já não vejo há muito tempo. E acho que isso também na altura também me ajudou bastante em aprender a socializar, porque foi só este ano que eu comecei a reverter esse processo. E a minha apresentação basicamente serve para sensibilizar não só os membros do laboratório de jogos, mas também o resto da comunidade do técnico, porque como eu já disse anteriormente, acho que é uma comunidade muito isolada e às vezes até sinto preocupação que quando vejo alguém assim muito sozinho ou assim, que estejam a passar pelas mesmas coisas, porque é mesmo uma coisa muito difícil de ser ultrapassada. Enquanto estava a fazer esta apresentação, eu descobri um jogo bastante interessante, que é o The Average Everyday Adventures of Samantha Brownie, e ele é grátis na Steam, e ele retrata a vida de uma estudante, uma rapariga estudante, que vive com ansiedade social. E é um jogo bastante educativo, porque o jogador basicamente vive a vida dela e tem que fazer as escolhas de ok, vou agora à cozinha, será que vai estar lá gente? Será que não vai estar? E a pessoa sente o que as pessoas com este problema sentem. Portanto, acho que, por exemplo, como vemos aqui nas imagens, ela quer ir à cozinha, mas passou 6 horas à espera que toda a gente saísse. Isto são coisas reais, são coisas que acontecem. Ela quer sair da cama para preparar a comida e não consegue, ela esconde-se. E acho que é uma coisa bastante educativa e acho que é uma boa sugestão agora para quem quiser jogar alguma coisa diferente nas férias de Natal. E acaba assim a minha apresentação e espero ter sensibilizado para este tema que acho que é uma coisa que tem que ser mais falado. E pronto.
Obrigado, Carolina. Vamos só para um pequeno intervalo e voltamos já.
Mhm.
Obrigado, Carolina, pela apresentação. É um tema que não é nada fácil de falar sobre e por isso agradeço-te. Também acho que é super importante falar, especialmente da nossa comunidade, como disseste, e é algo que tenho a certeza que muita gente sente, mas não está confortável a falar sobre isso. E só uma pequena nota, qual é que é o nome do jogo que tu disseste? Que eu agora quero apontar.
The Adventures of
The Average Everyday Adventures of Samantha Brownie.
Ok, Samantha Brownie, ok, nice. Para ver se ia ver assim ver.
Disseste que era grátis, certo?
Sim, sim.
Ok, boa.
Não, tenho que ir ver isso.
Mais algum de vocês tem alguma opinião sobre este assunto? Eu pessoalmente também,
Tá.
este ano, também, quando a pandemia começou, também andei muito, muito mal, mentalmente, mas depois lá me ajustei. E diria que para nós, que já estamos habituados a utilizar a internet, e por exemplo, eu já jogava jogos todas as noites antes com os meus amigos, para muita gente foi despertar, para mim foi só um continuar daquilo que era já um sistema que eu usava para dar cope com estas coisas, não é? Que era jogar com mais malta online. Por exemplo, League of Legends. Não sei, Jorge, acho que tu és com o Rocket League, não é? E Call of Duty.
Yeah. Não, mas é
Faz
engraçado porque é literalmente o que a Carolina disse. Por exemplo, embora eu esteja a jogar Rocket League, muitas vezes acontece estar numa chamada Discord com amigos meus, pá, que podem estar a fazer coisas completamente diferentes, mas só o facto de, em vez de estarmos juntos fisicamente, estamos numa sala de Discord, pá, só a falar ou a comentar o que é que nos estão a fazer ou o que é que viram, pá, e facilita bastante todo este processo de Covid 2020.
Sim, deste ano. E deste ano e não só, não é?
Sim, mas pronto, isso.
Pois, pronto.
Sim. Ok. Então, obrigado mais uma vez à Carolina. Vamos mais uma vez voltar para a nossa sala de espera e vamos fazer setup para a próxima apresentação, ok? Desta vez do Mateus, sobre a PlayStation Vita ou PSP?
Vita,
Vita. Ai,
Vita, Vita.
que sorte. Obrigado.
Okay, hello everybody. So like he said, I'm going to be presenting about the PlayStation Vita. But first, I would think it's important that I give you a little bit of history about the PlayStation Portable beforehand. So, well, here I go. Okay.
If you can guess what
I don't
the
know
title
if
is going to
there's
be
sound,
by the
but
way this game will actually start. As a matter of fact, this screen also brings back memories for me as well. I'm sure it does for some of you, and I'm sure you're dating yourself by saying that you remember. I don't know if you remember this particular opening, this was actually on the original PlayStation game as well when it was loading the game. Of course, I'm not a very good player even there. Game is powered by Namco. It's Ridge Racer. Ridge Racer. Remember that one? All right, so let me go right ahead, get right into the game. Oh, this brings back memories. I don't know if it's just me, but here we go. Whoops.
Okay, so this was the E3 where the PSP was announced, and here's the PSP. It's a cute little system, and it was revolutionary for its time because it was a pretty powerful handheld. Sony said they could do PS2 level graphics, which is pretty amazing, and it also acted kind of like a tiny media player. For example, the UMD drives, they could store movies in them, and you could also put your songs there. So it's kind of something different for a portable system, and it's something that we see now. And Sony was always trying to innovate and stay ahead of the curve, so they built in all these multimedia features into this system, and this is now what we have with smartphones and stuff like that. So now that's kind of abridged history of the PSP. So now onto the Vita. Was announced in 2012. The Vita was the next generation portable. That was its code name. And it looks like this. Sony this time was really trying to bring console gaming on the go, sort of like what Nintendo is doing with the Switch right now, but it was 2012, so they didn't really have the hardware necessary. Uh, so as you can see, the Vita, this is the slim model. It looks a little bit better. Now it has two analog sticks and the front touchscreen and the back touchscreen, which was almost never used in games, but was kind of just a lot more features than they needed, which also increased the price, which was one of the problems that the Vita had. But I'll get onto it later on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ah, okay, sorry. Oh, okay, okay. I'll go on. Sorry for not having my face on cam. Well, okay. So the Vita had a pretty good and successful launch. It sold like 350,000 in Japan, if I remember correctly. And there was also some really good games coming out, but it lost steam pretty quickly. So Sony was then just trying to play catch up to Nintendo, which Nintendo was selling really well, the 3DS. And Sony was also trying to deal with the fact that handhelds were at the time selling less because of mobile phones. And now that has changed, but at the time that's what everybody thought was happening. And well, I will then talk about how Sony dealt with this situation. Also, something else that I got the dustiest picture of the Vita I could find, and also something that put a wrench in Sony's plans for the Vita was the PS4 launch. The PS4 sold ridiculously well, and Sony just gave up on the Vita after that and shifted all the development efforts onto the PS4. So no more first-party exclusives, and the Vita was starting to be marketed from this point onwards as a companion device to the PS4 almost exclusively, which was kind of underselling what its potential was. So here's some stumblings that Sony took in trying to sell the Vita again. Here's the new Vita model. The first one is the older one. The second one is the new slimmer one. It's a little bit prettier. It is usually agreed upon by the Vita community that the first model, the first generation one, is better because the screen is better. But the differences are really tiny. It's just a matter of which one can you find for cheap. There's also this thing. Like I said before, the Vita was trying to bring console gaming on the go, and this is a little experiment, I think, by Sony to just do a Vita console that can only output to a TV. It didn't really work. It was canceled within 1 year, so like, it wasn't that good. Yeah, but it's cool now with homebrew and things. It's actually a really useful system now. And here's also Sony's strategy on Japan versus the West. I kind of mixed them up. The West is where All Miami is. Japan is where the Trails of Cold Steel is. Basically, what Sony was doing, not Sony, but Sony wasn't doing anything at this point. But the marketing, the games were the West, the Vita was sort of being marketed as an indie machine, and it still got indie games up to like Stardew Valley was on it, Crypt of the Necrodancer as well, and there was also Hotline Miami, Spelunky. So it was really acting as a sort of a portable indie games machine at that point. And in Japan, it kept on selling because people in Japan apparently leave their houses a lot more than uh, here, and they probably ride subways a lot. So public transport. So they were always playing more video games. So the Vita was still getting quality JRPGs there, which kept it selling for a while until the Switch came out. So I want to talk about two games right now, my favorites, and this is probably my favorite game of all time, and it's very special to me. And I don't know if I can say a lot of things that I would not like to say on a later presentation about this game specifically, but it's really good. And it was only on the Vita until this year. Now it's on PC, so it's $20. I would highly recommend everybody play it. I would also like to talk about Gravity Rush. It's a little hidden gem by Japan Studio, but it's really really good. It's about this little girl who shifts gravity, and the gameplay is really fun. But and the atmosphere of the game, especially the music too. I can't play any music because we will get copyright strikes, but it's really good, and it's just really fun to play. Also, the sequel and the original game are on PS4. If you want to play them, then I highly recommend it too. So why did the Vita fail? First, this is comparing to its competitor. I chose this picture because I have Metal Gear Solid 3 just for that reason. But the Vita was extremely high priced compared to the 3DS, especially if you factor in the memory cards, which made it cost with the game almost as much as the PS3 at the time for a portable system, which was kind of ridiculous. And since the quality of the games was, well, they were handheld games, and there's not really that big of a difference between the Vita and the 3DS in terms of quality. So most people were just going for the cheaper system, and Nintendo, unlike Sony, kept supplying good first-party games. So the 3DS was going to take over and eventually sell way more than the Vita just because of that. And there was also this memory cards. There's a comparison between the SD cards that were used in the 3DS and the ones that were used in the Vita. There's a $25, no, pounds in this case difference. And the higher the storage capacity was, the higher the difference in cost was. So you can imagine how expensive it would be to get a Vita and all the memory cards. So the consequences of the Vita's failure was that Sony dropped out of the handheld market, and now we basically only got Switch on it. And mobile phones are also beginning to take over, especially more powerful handheld phones. Because I was playing Genshin Impact on mine the other day, and was kind of amazed at how advanced mobile gaming is right now. And well, Sony's no longer in the market, and that's the biggest consequence. Is that well is that, and this is the last slide that I had. So I will finish my presentation right now, if that's all right.
I'll just transition into the. Welcome back, guys. Thank you, Mateus, for that presentation. It was I had a PSP. I remember thinking about buying a Vita, and then 5 minutes later, I was like, no, it's not worth it.
I was, yeah, good choice. I won't lie.
I remember that
I kind of had
Your
my,
time.
one of the things that was most expensive was the memory cards that you just mentioned back
yeah,
then.
definitely, yeah.
I remember that I was seeing like memory cards for PlayStation Vita that were more expensive than PlayStation Vita. So how would you ever get
What?
one?
Yeah, it was more expensive than a PS3. It's like if you got one with a decently sized memory card, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, and the games were huge too. So it's like
Ah,
when you
the
had to
games were
buy a,
not that big.
but you couldn't just have one card. You needed to have multiple ones. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you go to the store, you buy a PlayStation Vita for what, 250, 300, and then you still have to spend another $100 in the memory card. Like it makes no sense.
And the game.
And the game, yeah, and the game, yeah, of course. And the games were not that good, except yeah,
Yeah.
I
Persona
Persona
for
mean,
4.
sure.
there were some good games that were exclusive to the PS Vita, but
Name
Who,
name name
who,
three.
who were
okay.
past.
Uncharted Golden Abyss, Call of Duty Declassified, Killzone Mercenary, and I got
Oh,
them three.
It's two
yeah.
FPSs. It doesn't count. I give you the Gravity one is really good, and the sequel is also
Yeah.
pretty good. And as you
Yeah,
mentioned,
yeah. The sequel's amazing.
it's on the PlayStation 4, so if you can get
Yeah.
it, you should play it. Do you guys have any other experiences with PSPs or PlayStation Vitas or Nintendos, I guess?
Yeah. Oof.
I had a PSP that was stolen.
Hmm.
Nice story. Um, and I have a PS Vita that's probably as dusty as the photo as you shown.
I got
I
mine
don't,
here.
Oh,
I
It's
have
not
no
that
idea where
dusty.
mine is. I have no idea where mine is right now. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that says it all about
mhm.
portable handheld consoles that are not the
Yeah,
Nintendo Switch.
I think mobile gaming might advance to a point where it doesn't make sense for Sony to have like a handheld console, and maybe the Nintendo doesn't as well. But their systems are pretty good, so I don't know.
Nintendo has a shot because of
Exclusive.
what they want to do because you can play the Switch anywhere you want. If you are in a car, you can play the game, but if you are at home, you can just put the console in the dock and play just like you would play like in a PS4.
Hmm. It's interesting just to think about the future. Where is it moving? Will we still need a console? Like if mobile phones are as potent as
I
consoles,
mean,
does it make sense? I don't know.
you have phones. You have phones.
Yeah, don't
For
you guys have
example,
phones?
you have no
I'm
no.
playing League of Legends
There's a
here. I was playing
there's
League
a
of
Razer
Legends
phone.
yesterday. Like this is great.
There's a Razer phone that you can put in your PC and it acts like a touchpad. So phones are amazing nowadays.
To the people
But yeah,
watching, when we were preparing this presentation, we were talking about mobile gaming and stuff. And I said, well, yeah, I had a Game Boy, and like most of them didn't have a Game Boy or play the Game Boy Color. Like, it's really sad. It
Yeah.
means that it really is the time to pass the torch. It's like,
You're
it's
old.
another generation.
yeah you're old, Manuel. Just
Sure. Okay, thanks guys. Thanks for the presentation, Mateus. We're going to go on a
No.
break and be right back. Okay, guys, here is the final presentation of today. It will be Diogo talking about Outer Wilds, and we will play the game right after this presentation. Okay.
Okay, so hi guys. As Manuel said, my name is Diogo Silva. I'm one of the new members of Laboratory Jogos, and I'm coming to you today to talk about a game that I played last summer, and I just utterly fell in love with. The game's title is The Outer Wilds, and first things first, what is this game? So, The Outer Wilds is a rather unique indie space exploration game where you, the player, plays as the newest member of your planet's space exploration program, the Outer Wilds Ventures. So basically, you get given a ship, you get given a solar system with 6 unique handcrafted planets to explore, and you just get thrown into there. Whilst exploring, you'll start unraveling several mysteries about both your solar system and Nomai, an ancient alien race that used to inhabit the same solar system as you, but seemingly disappeared one day and no one really knows why. And yeah, you're basically able to follow several plot threads that you can choose to follow in any order. There are no missions, there are no waypoints, nothing is hard set for you. You get given this interesting solar system to explore, and you're just left to your own devices. If this sounds, a bit vague, well, that's kind of on purpose. The game is best explored and best experienced going into it as blindly as possible. So both during the presentation and during the actual showcase, the playthrough that we'll be doing at the end of the presentation, we'll be trying to be as careful as possible as to not spoil anything that's too major about this game. So, The Outer Wilds was developed by Mobius Digital, a small indie studio centered in Los Angeles. And it was actually a crowdfunded game. It was one of the first games, I believe so, that was crowdfunded through Fig, which, is kind of not really the most well-known crowdfunding platform, but that's what they chose. The game eventually got picked up and published by Annapurna Interactive, and it was released in 2019 for the PS4, the Xbox One, and PC, having been a timed exclusive on Epic, unfortunately, for about a year. The game got released on Steam earlier this year. Interestingly enough, however, the game actually began as a master's thesis from Alex Beecham, that guy over there, while he was studying at the University of Southern California. For his thesis, he basically wanted to make a project that was centered around 3 basic design principles, or pillars. First, he wanted the game to take place in a world, an environment that was not static. He wanted to move away from that preconception that gamers and game designers and developers have, that a game world is something that a level designer just puts there and is static and is not changing. He wanted his world to be something dynamic. The second design principle was centered around the fact that he didn't want the game to have waypoints or missions. He wanted the player to be able to explore just to satiate their own curiosity. For this, he was actually inspired by a certain mechanic in Zelda Wind Waker. In that game, there was an NPC that had an art gallery, and you could go in and it would be filled with several pictures of interesting spots in the world. And then you could just walk up to a painting, see an interesting statue that might have a secret in it, and then ask the NPC where it was taken. They wouldn't then tell you that they wouldn't mark it on your map, but they would give you hints as to how you could go out and explore the world and actually find that place for yourself. Thirdly, the third design pillar of this game was that the player should not feel like the whole world revolves around them. The player should not feel like everything in the world is about them. The game should continue to play out, to simulate, even when the player wasn't there to witness what was being simulated. So as to avoid the whole idea of, things only happening when you're around to see them. The game was received to very high critical acclaim. Still in 2015, when the game was still kind of like in the early stages of crowdfunding, and it was still more so a master thesis project than anything else, the game got nominated and actually won 2 awards at the Independent Games Festival. It won both the Excellence in Design Award and the Grand Prize, the Seamus McNally Grand Prize, beating games like This War of Mine and The Talos Principle. Then, when it was actually released last year, the game won Best Indie Game at the Golden Joystick Awards. Got nominated for a bunch of stuff that it unfortunately didn't win at the Game Awards, and it actually won 3 awards at the 2020-16 BAFTA Awards. It won Best Original Property, Best Game Design, and Game of the Year. But even though it actually, it got received really well by critics and players alike, it actually has, like, I think an 85 Metacritic score around that. The game didn't really, do too well in terms of sales and in terms of being put on the spotlight. Some may think that this was due to the fact that it was released first on Epic. Some may chalk it up to it just being a small indie game, so it would never have, garners enough attention. But there was something, a very weird coincidence that happened that kind of hindered this game's marketing plans. And it was the fact that it was released and kind of announced sort of at the same time as another game, another space game, another space open-ended game, another space open-ended game with the name Outer in the title. So The Outer Worlds was a game that was released by Obsidian Entertainment earlier than The Outer Wilds, slightly by just a few months. Actually, no, it came out 5 months later, but yeah. It was announced at the Game Awards 2018, and that was actually the first time that the developers of The Outer Wilds first heard of this, and to say that they were a bit concerned would be, kind of an understatement. But yeah, they also, another thing that kind of hindered the game's marketing and the fact that, it kind of became sort of a hidden gem was the fact that the whole game is centered around a mystery. I already said that the game is best experienced as blindly as possible. And they had kind of a hard time, marketing that, because how do you market a mystery? That was an issue that they actually had to deal with. And one of the solutions that they found was to release the game on Xbox Game Pass. As one of the developers puts it, you can't really sell a mystery, but people won't buy a mystery, but people may rent it and try it out. And then they were hoping that, just word of mouth, things like what I'm doing right now would help increase the game's reach. So, I think I've talked enough about, introducing what the game is. Maybe now it's time that we actually show you how the game plays and maybe talk about a little bit about some of its core mechanics.
Okay, guys. So let's play Outer Wilds. Oh, there's a loading screen. So hopefully my computer can handle all of this, but we'll see. So I've gone through... Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. So right off the bat, there's actually a little Easter egg that we're experiencing right here, which is if you leave the main screen for long enough, the letters actually start breaking apart and drifting away, which kind of aims at the the motif of the game itself. So this is basically how you begin every cycle of the game. You just wake up looking at the stars, And I believe Manuel already played the little prologue that you have to do before the
Yes.
game proper actually begins. Yeah.
Yeah, I have. Just
So,
give me a second.
yeah.
And okay, let's go. So I'm going to my spaceship, okay? So because I've done the tutorial.
Yep. So basically, there's a little small prologue where you go through the village, talk with several NPCs, and then you get given your launch codes, and you're set to go to space to do whatever you want. There's actually a little small design choice that is done even at the prologue that I really appreciate, and it's about the open-endedness of the game's design. Because through playtesting, which Alex actually chalks up as to being the main thing that he learned at university, playtesting revealed that players weren't really, they didn't know what to do. They were given the ship, but then they were kind of not really given any aim or anything. They didn't know what they could do. So initially, what they did was there's the NPC that gives you the launch code. This is the only mandatory conversation in the game. Initially, the player would be able to ask that NPC, okay, so what's my mission? What should I do? And then the NPC would then give you several prompts or possibilities of things that you could do. But in the end, they actually ended up reversing it. So to give the player more agency, to give the player more more presence in the game, it's actually the NPC that asks you, the player, what do you want to do first? And because the dialogue system is, like there's several prompts that you can choose from, that would actually give the player some ideas. There would be prompts like, oh, I'm going to go explore ruins on the moon, or I'm going to go find a pilot that's gone missing, stuff like that. And that would, start up your journey.
Okay, so here we go.
So that little LED indicator on the left there on your ship actually, is a tool that they added to aid you. So everything on this game, nothing is on a grid. Everything was made on a sphere. So it was very easy for players to get, a bit disoriented as to what direction their ship was facing, or whether they were going towards the sun or, away from it. So that little indicator there actually tells you which thrusters your ship is using, or so, which direction you're actually moving on relative to your ship and not to anything else. So, there are several planets that Manuel can now go to. Or, you can also drive straight into the sun if you prefer.
Maybe it's a bad idea. Okay, so I'll try.
I mean,
so
I wouldn't
this was
really
the
recommend
first
it.
one? No, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's your
See all
home
the
planet,
holes
basically.
And all the things around the island?
Yeah.
The island, no, the planet. So, let's
Yeah.
try going...
I really like that big blue one, the one to your left.
My left?
Yeah, your left.
So
The one that's kind of behind the sun. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go.
The game, the game also has an autopilot in place for people who aren't as comfortable with flying the ship, or maybe don't have a gamepad or a controller. But the autopilot is purposely kind of not 100% accurate. So, for example, if you lock onto a planet and that planet goes behind the sun, your autopilot might try to fly you through the sun. So you gotta, watch out for that. So this is Giant Steep, a planet that fully terrifies me.
Yeah, I've been here before. I don't want to come here. Why did you bring me here?
I don't know. I just really like this planet. I think the atmosphere that it shows is actually kind of representative of how different each planet can be. Because the viewers already saw that the default planet is kind of the same.
I don't know what's going on, by the way.
You're descending into the planet, and now you're inside it. And so this planet is kind of a gas giant, except instead of gas, the entire planet is made up of water. And there are tornadoes that, the tornadoes actually pick up the islands and throw them out to space, and then they come crashing down, and as you can see there. So all of this is being done in a simulation, so nothing here is scripted. Also, watch out, an island might fall on top of you.
Holy hell.
Yeah. So
I'm out.
so that was just one of the planets, and each planet has several plot points that they have, so you can just go there and explore. And the way the game tracks your progress is actually Manuel. If you want to step out of your ship for a moment, or outside of the pilot seat, and look behind you. Yeah, so that's the ship log. That's basically how the game keeps track of everything that the player finds. And originally, all they had here was a view of the solar system. If you actually press a triangle right now, yeah, this was the first iteration of what they had. Each planet has several logs, and they would tell the player things that they would have found on each planet. But again, playtesting kind of revealed that players were being, they would discover these things, but they wouldn't be able to actually connect the dots. So what they did was they added this little kind of graph, this web
So it's
of
rumor
interconnected.
mode,
Yep.
right? So it's rumors.
Yeah, rumor mode. And this is actually what they say that this is what their design documents were. So they basically just implemented them in the way of a graph. So now you can, besides knowing the several plot points and main plot threads, you actually see how each of the several mysteries that the game gives you connect, and they all then tie up on the grand scheme, the grander story of this game. So I don't know if you want to pick another planet to just go down to and start exploring.
I can use this thing.
Yeah. So that's the signal scope. The signal scope basically is able to pick up several sound waves throughout your solar system, and it's used on several puzzles. It's also used to help you know what to explore or where several points of interest might be. And that's actually a good point as well, because how do you make a game that's, the scale of the solar system, albeit, kind of reduced, how do you make it so the player doesn't have to go behind every nook and cranny, behind every rock to look for progression?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the way they did this was they simply had the design goal of only putting detail where content was, so that the player would instinctively kind of immediately be able to find points of interest. So this is Brittle Hollow. This is actually one of the first planets that was designed, and originally it was actually made for another project of another course that Alex Beckham took. The concept of this planet is that it is being completely and continuously bombarded by meteors. So as time goes on, the planet actually breaks apart and changes, and more locations get revealed while others are rendered inaccessible. Also, do be careful. I once died because a meteor just flew into my face, and I don't think I've ever screamed as loud.
I'm going to land. Wait. This is
Good
for
luck.
my
If you press,
engineering.
yeah.
So, oh my. Okay.
Oh boy.
It's okay. We can land on trees.
Yeah, I mean, if it works, it works.
Perfect.
So everything about this game's physics is actually simulated. There's no tricks, there's no faking. Also, do be sure to take, your suit. So everything in this game is actually a rigid body, and it's being affected by physics. Because the game itself is quarterly centered around the truth in systems and simulation. There are some quirks that come from that. For example, there's a planet that has a 0G cave, and the reason it's a 0G cave is because you're actually at the center of the planet, and because you're at the center of the planet, you're at the center of mass. So instead of you being pulled towards the center of mass, each mass of the planet is pulling on you equally, meaning that you actually go 0G. And this is just an example of how those systems, come into play. So right here, Manuel has found what seems to be an Oh My, relic or shuttle.
Oh
And
my god.
yeah, he just threw the door open.
I think
Also,
my
do be
game
careful.
died.
Yeah, it's kind of like it did.
Oh.
Do be careful. Those platforms break apart. You get given a suit that has a jetpack. So there are mainly two things that you need to watch out for, which is your jetpack fuel and your oxygen. Those are basically the main things I need you to watch out for, but you do need to also traverse some hazardous environments, so there is also health, and you need to heal and stuff like that. Something that you may have seen Manuel pull up, or for example, on that little spiral over there, yeah. This tool is your translator. So these curly things are actually Know My writings, the aliens that came before you. And at the beginning of the game, you get given this tool that can actually translate those writings, and that's the main way that you learn about the story and the lore and how you progress is by reading conversations between peers, between friends. You start developing these relationships and forming bonds with characters that you never actually seen because they're gone. But you start remembering names because you can see that each of these records is actually written by a different person or NPC, and you can see their name. So yeah, that's actually a really cool thing about this is the fact that you, the player, start relating to and caring for characters that you never actually see, or maybe you do. I don't know. I'm not gonna spoil that. So
now
these
I'm
are
down.
yeah, these are gravity crystals. So they kind of pull you. Yeah, they pull you towards where they're stationed. Do be careful. If you go too far away from them, you start getting pulled back to the center of the planet, which in this case,
So do I need
which
to
in this
jump?
case is I wouldn't recommend jumping. Remember, going far away from the crystals,
Thank God.
yeah, kind of might screw you up a bit.
So let me look up, just to make sure
Yeah.
that. Oh,
So the core of this planet is kind of unique. It's a black hole, so you can see that it's kind of getting distorted around it. By the way, the sound cues that you listen by getting close to the crystal also can help you determine if you're close enough to be affected by the crystal.
yeah.
So,
I'm close
yeah.
enough. Oh no.
Yeah, you should be fine. You should be fine.
Oh no. Okay. So this reminds me a lot of Interstellar.
Yeah, it has some Interstellar vibes.
Just a black hole. But I guess the game is number one is really pretty, and everything is like it seems like to be moving.
Yeah, everything
Right now
is
I'm upside
dynamic.
down, so.
Yeah. So like you see how those parts, the parts of the planet are actually breaking apart. That's not
Yeah.
scripted. Like the game simulates. The idea of this planet is that it has like a moon, and that moon is kind of volcanic, so it's throwing constantly meteors at this planet. It's actually simulating each of those meteors being thrown in a random direction. So, you might play this now, and the planet breaks apart in one way, and then you might play it another time, and the planet breaks out kind of differently, and then you have to play around that.
So, am I going to die or?
I mean, it does seem like a meteor kind of struck the
There
part
should
of
be more
the
crystals
path.
here, right?
Yeah, there should be, but there ain't anymore. So, I mean, you can try to jump it, or you can try to not. It's up to you.
I can make that, right?
Maybe. I mean, remember that as soon as you get away from the crystal, you start getting pulled downwards.
Ah!
Ooh, you actually did make it. Wow. I did not think that was gonna happen.
Okay. Yep, I'm a pro at this.
Oh,
That was
you're
actually
still
really
alive.
good platforming.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, do be careful about the oxygen.
Okay.
It should be fine though.
So I
I'm
should
sure,
be running, maybe.
I mean, maybe. To refill your oxygen and your health and your fuel, basically to refill your oxygen, all you have to do is find a tree and go near it, and your oxygen tanks immediately get refilled. And the game isn't really, too realistic. I mean, there's trees on the moon, which, I don't know about you guys, but I don't think that's too realistic, but, it works for the game, and it doesn't really break from your immersion or anything. Speaking of immersion, if you happen to have a VR headset, this game actually has a really good VR mod that, is really cool. Okay, that might be a little bug. Maybe try jumping a bit, or going out the top. Yeah, there you go. That was pretty weird. Okay, so that's dangerous, and you can see that your visor is actually telling you that it's dangerous.
So
That is a ghost matter. If you equip your scout launcher with that,
this
and
one?
send the scout over there. Yeah. No, the other one.
Okay, wait. This one, right?
Yeah, that one. If you actually shoot one, yeah, and then you take a picture, You can see that ghost matter is actually not visible on the naked eye, but your scout's pictures can, detect it.
I see. So maybe I'll go over here.
You could, yeah.
If I were you, I would find a tree.
Yeah, that would be
I'm not concerned.
advisable. I mean, right now you're picking up a signal that's not too far away from you, only 180 meters. So maybe you might want to, try to find that signal source.
No, I'm okay. Melwater district. So this was a city, or
Maybe. I mean, it does seem to be some sort of settlement. You have 60 seconds of oxygen.
now I'm
No
getting
pressure.
A bit worried.
No pressure, no pressure. It should be good.
Eye signal indicator? No. Okay, well, it's okay. Ghost matter can
GG.
hurt me, right?
No, I mean, not
Ghost
too
matter means
much.
Ghosts.
Yeah, it's just ghosts. But they do matter, though.
Okay, I'm okay.
Oh, you actually made it, and you found a tree. Wow.
So
Oh
Alright.
my
I'm
god.
an Ultra Wilds
I-
pro, so I don't know what. You
I
guys want.
legitimately, I did not know there was a tree there.
That's right.
Wow. So now you can see on your indicator that you're basically really, really close to death. So I do advise watching out for any more hazards, and you can die from fall damage as well. So that's a nomad scroll. You can basically put it into certain slots, and they reveal different texts.
But I need to find the scroll.
No, that's the scroll. The wall
Find a
behind you
place
is
to
where
put
you
the-
can.
Behind me.
Yeah, that one already has a scroll in, but you can take it out if you want.
So where do I put this one?
You can take out the one that's on the board over there to your right, in front of you.
Change
Yeah.
anything?
First you need to put yours down because you're already holding one, and then you can take that one out. And then put that one in, and it changes the text that's shown. So basically, each of those scrolls is kind of like a paper, so it has things written in on it. So yeah, the game is basically based around just walking around and finding points of interest, learning more about the world, learning more about the story, about what happened to the Nomai and what's going on.
Should I go meet this guy? Oh,
You could.
it's like only 200 and...
I don't think you could go through the ghost. Yeah.
Well, we're done with this gameplay.
So yeah, this is basically what the game is about.
Mhm.
I don't know if I still have time, but there's like a quote that I would like to read out.
Go ahead.
That is by a YouTuber, and he's actually the one who introduced me to this game. So I don't know if I still have time for that. Yeah. Let me just pull it up then. So this quote is by Nerdcubed. I don't know if any of you or any of the viewers actually know that YouTuber. But I think that what he said really encompasses what this game is about and what the whole motif of the game is about. And if you do end up playing this game and do end up reaching its end, it's something that I hope you, keep in mind. So this is what he says. The Outer Wilds. There are so many games out there that feature space travel, and yet none of them really get it. The horror of an endless dark vacuum, so intent on killing you that just 90 seconds in its inanimate presence is more than enough to freeze, suffocate, and explode you inside out. Space is literally the worst place in the universe. People always think of space as above us, but it's not really. You don't have to look up to see space, you have to look away from safety to see space. Then, when you're out there in the nothing, there are jewels. Unprocessibly large balls of fire and light, rocks that can range between the husks of nothing to everything some life ever knows, and an endless amount of phenomena that would take our scientific knowledge and completely throw it out the window. But video games just don't get it. They just don't get space. Video games set in space are either men firing at bug-eyed monsters or truck driving simulators. If exploration does happen to be the focus, you'll find out that the main difference between the endless majesty that is life in this universe and the life on another universe is the color of the freaking grass. Yeah, you're in space, but it feels like it's behind glass. The Outer Wilds gets space. It doesn't care about scale, it gets the feel right. Yeah, your ship's made from wood and the majority of planets aren't that big, but watching all the stars in the sky go out one by one, like far off fireworks, and knowing that each one could be destroying an entire history, and having to do that every 22 minutes, nothing. Nothing has ever made me feel like that before. No game, no book, no movie, it's beyond extraordinary. Its planets, each one a bizarre, impossible place riddled with life and death and decay and nonsense. Each one dense in history and vandalized by time. Each one nightmarish and so beautiful. Outer Wilds isn't even really about space, it's about the question. The most important and terrifying and unanswerable question that anyone could ever ask. Why? Why bother? Why bother with any of this? People die, stars burn out, the universe will go quiet and dark and cold, and in the longest run, nothing, absolutely nothing matters. Everything dies, the universe included. So why sit around the fire playing music into a void that doesn't care? Why huddle around light? Why play? Because well, look at it. It's not all of it. Life is a big, stupid blob of meaningless nothing. Yet from that, we find meaning. People, things, animals, art, Rubik's Cube, silly little games about space, whatever. None of it matters in the grand scheme. But screw the grand theme. There's no logical reason for life, and nobody's gonna mourn it when it's gone, but that's what makes it fantastic. Life is a little song that we hum to ourselves. The Outer Wilds is an optimistic game about nihilism. It's a game with no invisible walls, where the only limit is knowledge. It's a game literally like no other. The universe is big and long and impossible and daft, and you happen to be experiencing it at the exact same point that you can play the Outer Wilds as well. Embrace that coincidence. Come on, what are you waiting for? The sun could explode tomorrow. And that's basically all I have to say about the Outer Wilds.
That was amazing. We will go on a short break and come back in just a bit. Guys, welcome back. Let's see if Mateus is still here. Yes, he is. This is me passing the torch. As you can see, we have a pretty talented team. The presentations today showed this. Do you guys have any final thoughts? I thought that speech was amazing.
Is anyone gonna talk about the music behind the speech and
That
how
was
unprepared
that
it
was all
was?
planned.
So
Yeah,
Even the death, that was all planned.
yeah, that was all planned for sure.
it was amazing.
I was just trying to roach some marshmallow, and the music started coming up.
I
Okay,
just have one question.
yeah, go ahead.
Has the Steam sale already started? And if so, is this on sale?
I know it's on sale on Epic.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if the Steam sale has already begun, but it actually has. Wait, let me
So,
check.
Yeah.
you guys can
What?
play
The
Outer
game is
Wilds.
free now?
Yep, it's on sale for $12.
Okay, so that's how much
Nice.
Ooh.
Okay.
cool. Okay, guys. So thank you all for coming to this presentation. Thank you for you guys for being here and watching. And this is me signing off. See you in the next year. Goodbye.
See
See ya.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
You said it yourself, this will not work if we are miles apart. Wake up alone, your fans are closed. Reach for something that you're not. Oh, you need to calm down, honey. You need to calm down, honey. You need to calm down, honey. You need to calm down, 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 I know how you feel up in there. You'll get there, I know you would. I know that you don't like your hair, but I think it's beautiful. We just need to calm down, honey. We need to calm down, honey. We need to calm down, honey. We need to calm down, down, down. We just need to calm down, honey. We need to calm down, honey. We need to calm down, honey. We need to calm